Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace.
One of the truest beauties in anime, at least in my eyes, is how certain animes decide to build out their universes. Watching individual shows or mangas go down differing routes to build unique and beautiful universes is one of my favorite things about anime as a whole. And while obviously this can be accomplished with any form of fiction, my favorite medium of it is anime, obviously. Because within the confines of an anime, there's infinite amount of paths you can take to your destination. You could read a story about a man hit by a bus who now turns into a spider in a fantasy world, or a story about a magical high school where teenagers are trained to fight against demons. But one of the more common things that gets broached under the wide umbrella of anime, usually in the later half of either anime or manga, is the concept of God in their universe. In One Punch Man, ever since the Monster Association arc, we've seen that universe's God trying to meddle with the events of Earth. Dragon Ball Super introduced us to the idea of gods of destruction and the gods that exist above them. Boruto recently introduced the idea of an Otsutsuki god in the form of Shibai. And while one day I would like to sit down and do a video called
Gods in Anime,
where we talk about the gods of different animes, what their influences are, and what roles they play in their own current universes, today I want to talk about one god in one anime. More specifically, I want to talk about my favorite representation of a god in anime. Today I want to talk about the god of the Full Metal Alchemist universe, Truth. See, today's original video was supposed to be the top 10 strongest anime characters ever, but then I realized that that was just a list of gods from different anime universes. So like Zeno, Shinra, Anti-Spiral, Kyuubi from Madoka Magica, and the Truth. All characters with the abilities of omnipotence. But out of all of these characters, I hold a unique amount of love for the Truth because of the representation that it holds. And therefore I decided that a significantly more interesting video, at least for me, would be to talk about the Truth, to do a deep dive on the god of the Full Metal Alchemist universe, as the Truth, while kind of complicated, is also uniquely simple when it comes to a concept of a god, and I hope to make that clear to you today. But before we get to talking about gods from other universes, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you want to see me be the god of my own universe, guys, go ahead and follow my brand new anime podcast, where me and Danny Mata break down everything that happened in anime this week. It's available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
Before we get into all that, guys, today we gotta talk about our favorite reoccurring sponsor to the page, Squarespace. Squarespace is a one-stop shop opportunity for you to build your brand or your business. And it doesn't matter what that brand or business is. It could be clothing, food, custom stickers. But I know what you're saying.
building a website is intimidating.
But Squarespace offers you a myriad of very helpful and very easy to use tools to build a beautiful website. A website that'll allow you to both engage with your audience and sell your product. Some of these tools include member areas, where people running their business can put content behind a paywall, and only those who pay for that gated content get access to it, which creates an entirely new revenue stream for people like me. But since we're talking about people like me, Squarespace also has a video content creator tool. This tool allows you to make beautiful videos effortlessly on Squarespace, allowing you to make clickable and engaging videos for your audience. Your audience, which you can keep track of using the analytics that Squarespace provides you. And these analytics not only give you insight onto how your business is doing, but how to improve your business, with tools that tell you where site visits or sales are coming from, and how to make sure that those site visits turn into sales.
So if you like what you see, head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/WeebCommander to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
So what are you guys waiting for? Go ahead and build that brand.
So the Truth, also known as God, the universe, all, one, or simply you. The Truth has always existed. It was never created. It exists everywhere in everything. It has omnipotence. It knows all truths, and it has all perfections. It is the manifestation of the good of the entire universe, with its only goal being able to uphold the law of equivalent exchange, and to give those who are arrogant, prideful, or boastful proper despair. But these are wide catch-all terms that could apply to any god in any universe. So what makes the Truth unique? Well, in order to get into what makes the Truth unique, I want to talk about what the Truth is. And by giving you the full understanding of what this god is, then we can finally begin to encroach on what makes it unique. So let's start this video off in the way that we tend to start these videos off, by answering the easy questions. Like, what is the truth? Well, the truth is a metaphysical being. See, the truth exists in everything. Every star, every planet, every being has the truth inside of them. However, the truth only ever makes itself visible to somebody if they attempt human transmutation. See, the truth only has one role. Even though the truth is probably the creator of the entire universe, now it only relegates itself to making sure that equivalent exchange is respected. And the truth deems that human transmutation isn't fair in regards to the rules of equivalent exchange. And therefore, when an alchemist attempts human transmutation, the truth will pull them into the gate. Now, the gate itself is almost an entirely different entity. The gate is referred to as the gate of truth, and it has some incredibly interesting properties. See, upon attempting human transmutation, there's a thing known as a rebound. And this rebound happens in regular alchemy. It's what happens when you try to transmute more than you give. Let's say I tried to transmute this $100 bill into a cell phone. Since this $100 bill is less matter than the cell phone, if I managed to pull off this transmutation, then there would be a rebound, as technically I would have created matter. Therefore, the matter that I've created now has to come from somewhere else, as matter cannot be destroyed or created. Now, usually when it comes to regular alchemy, a rebound is usually reflected upon the alchemist, with their body distorting to satisfy the rebound through the laws of equivalent exchange. However, when you attempt human transmutation, the rebound brings you to the gate. And in front of the gate, you are briefly confronted by the truth. And now the truth's role in this confrontation is to deem what is most important to you, or something of value that represents their anticipated relationship to the person they're trying to resurrect. That second one is a bit complicated, so let me give you some examples. When Izumi Curtis tried to bring back her child through human transmutation, Truth decided when she was summoned in front of the gate to take her reproductive system, making sure that she could never have another child again, ensuring regardless of whether or not she gave up on the child she had lost, that she would never be able to replace said child. Well, currently within the confines of trying to pull off this human transmutation, Izumi Curtis may not have been thinking about her own reproductive system, as she was more focused on bringing her current baby back to life, but the presumed connection between her reproductive system and being able to overcome the guilt of losing her child is why the truth took her reproductive system, keying in on the importance of having a child and what it meant to Izumi Curtis. Now, upon having a toll exacted like Izumi's womb, the alchemist who tried to use human transmutation is pulled into the gate. And beyond the doors of the gate is all the knowledge of the universe. All the knowledge about the world, the universe, and alchemy is shoved into the mind of the alchemists who tried to pull off human transmutation. And as this information is jammed into their head, they begin to break down physically and mentally, as these alchemists simply begin to integrate into the massive flow of information of the universe. However, the information given to an alchemist is actually determined by how much they give to truth, as how far you're pulled into the gate is determined by how much you give up to truth. Therefore, in the circumstance of Izumi or Ed, who only gave up parts of their body, they weren't pulled nearly as far into the gate as Alphonse, who gave up his entire body, meaning that Alphonse was pulled substantially further into the gate and therefore was given more information about the universe. Now, technically, this should have killed Alphonse. He should have been pulled into the gate and disappeared. However, Ed was able to bind his soul to a suit of armor. Now, this exchange of pulling his brother's soul into the suit of armor lost him his arm, but he ensured that his brother wouldn't exist within the gate forever. Now, there is technically ways to enter the gate without losing parts of your body or your entire body, and that is to defeat the rules of equivalent exchange using a philosopher's stone. But why would you want to enter the gate in the first place? It sounds awful. Well, because simply by entering the gate, you gain a massive amount of power. Outside of all of the information that's shoved into your head that does make you a better alchemist and have a better understanding of the world and how it operates, those who have entered the gate no longer have to draw transmutation circles. Instead, those who have been pulled into the gate simply need to clap their limbs together, and that creates their transmutation circle with their own body operating as the matrix. Therefore, if hypothetically you were to enter the gate with the use of a philosopher's stone and use the philosopher's stone as your payment, you would no longer have to draw transmutation circles. And one of the coolest things about this gate is that it appears differently to every person who passes through it, because on the doors of the gate there's a representation of how you believe truth in the cosmos operate. Therefore, the gate is meant to be a representation of whoever it's pulling through. For Ed, it's the Sephirothic Tree of Life, which originates from the mystic brand of Judaism known as the Kabbalah. For Alphonse, it's a relief of a drawing from George Ripley's book about alchemy in the 15th century. And Father's Gate is completely blank, as during his lifetime he was completely unwilling to change or learn, and his lack of spiritual growth during his lifetime is represented on the gate doors. So now that we've established what the gate is, let's go back to truth. So we've established that one of the roles of truth is to exact a toll before somebody enters the gate, as well as making sure that the law of equivalent exchange is respected all across the world, with the only circumstance where equivalent exchange isn't accepted is through the use of a philosopher's stone, as part of the philosopher's stone is used in order to make an impossible equivalent exchange happen. But that's kind of a simplification. See, the truth is supposed to be a negative representation of the human who tried to pull off human transmutation, but in actuality, this is just what the finite human mind is able to encapsulate about the truth. See, like I've already said, the truth is in everything. It is the creator of the entire universe. However, humans don't have the infinite mind capacity required to fully understand what an entity that embodies every living being in the universe would look like. And therefore, the truth that we see is actually just what a finite human mind can understand about the God of a universe. And what the finite human mind compartmentalizes the truth into is an entity punishing them for playing God by trying to break the rules of alchemy. But the truth is much more than that. It is the deity of the universe as well as the monad of the universe. Now, a monad is a term created by the ancient Greeks. While in one hand it does represent a kind of God, a monad more accurately refers to the most elemental particles that make up the entirety of the universe. These are immaterial elementary particles like quarks and subatomic particles, at least so far as we understand today. This is to say that while the truth is an entity that lives above everything else in the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood universe, it is at the same time as being a consciousness also all of the material the universe is made out of, as things like quarks and subatomic particles are things that make up neutrons and protons and electrons, and those are the things that make every single element we know of. On top of that, the truth represents the consciousness of every single living being, and because the truth is everybody and everything, it's represented as a white featureless version of who's ever been pulled into the gate, as this is the only way that a human brain can see the truth, as a representation of themselves scolding themselves for abusing the laws of alchemy. However, if somebody is to meet the truth 2 times or 3 times or 4 times in the case of Ed, the truth will be adorned with all of the body parts it's taken from the person who has met it, which is why Ed's truth has his arm and his leg, and Alphon's truth just has his entire body. And while the human mind might turn the truth into something that's evil, that's punishing them for breaking the laws of alchemy, making the truth appear as though it's sadistic and cruel, the truth is actually incredibly fair and wise in its rationality, as the truth removes from whatever alchemist who's tried to use human transmutation what they valued most. Ed lost his ability to stand on his own 2 feet when the truth took his left leg. Alphonse lost his ability to feel his mother's touch when the truth took his entire body. And Izumi lost her womb, the only way she would ever be able to replace the baby she was trying to revive. Truth holds no bias, opinions, or judgments. It simply determines what the most valuable thing to you is and takes it in exchange for trying to pull off human transmutation. There is no favoritism, mercy, or exceptions, which is why its seeming malice is actually supposed to operate as a lesson to those who meet truth. See, truth's appeared hatred and malice towards the humans that it meets is supposed to tell the humans that come face to face with truth that alchemy isn't everything. It's simply because they're talented alchemists, they shouldn't see themselves as above other humans. Now, the reason that it's trying to impart these values is because there is no greater act of arrogance than human transmutation. As in this moment, these alchemists are trying to play God, trying to transmute actual human souls back from the dead. But simply because these alchemists tried to play God and truth is actually the God of the universe doesn't mean that truth holds malice towards them. As remember, this image of the truth is actually created by the brains of the alchemists who come into contact with the gate of truth. It is a construct created of the universe to tell you to not be prideful, to tell you that life and death are part of the human experience and therefore are to be accepted, not manipulated. Therefore, the only thing truth is trying to impart to the humans that come face to face with truth is to swallow their pride, which is why in the end of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Edward is able to give up his gate of truth, the thing that allows him to be an alchemist to save his brother Alphonse. In this true moment of humbleness, Edward gives up what he believed for a long time made him better than other humans, his abilities as an alchemist. And because he gave up his pride, he was able to make the equivalent exchange for Alphons. However, since pride is so important in this, those who are forced to go through with human transmutation against their will, like Colonel Mustang, incur a significantly worse toll when it comes to meeting truth. See, those who purposely try to do human transmutation have committed great sins against the laws of alchemy because of their hubris. However, Colonel Mustang technically did human transmutation, but all he lost was his sight. Obviously, losing your sight isn't fantastic, but it's a lot better than losing an arm or a leg or your entire body. And the reason that Colonel Mustang incurred a significantly better toll when it came to entering the gate of truth is because there was no pride in him pulling off human transmutation. He was forced against his will to do it. Therefore, there was no pride or hubris in the act. However, to come face to face with truth requires that you enter the gate of truth, which requires a sacrifice. And therefore, truth elected to take his sight. However, truth also did take the majority of pride's strength, as pride used its body for the human transmutation circle that Roy Mustang was forced to use. And therefore, the toll enacted on Colonel Mustang might have also been lessened by the fact that pride's strength was also taken as a toll for entering the gate. However, fortunately for Colonel Mustang, he was able to, with the use of a Philosopher's Stone, re-enter the gate and regain his eyesight. We saw this in the epilogue. So whether or not only his eyesight was taken because there was no pride in it, or because the strength of pride was taken, kind of ironic, Colonel Mustang wasn't forced to be blind for too long. And this is why, to this day, the truth is my favorite representation of a god in anime, as truth isn't some super powerful manly dude who's here to beat on all of the characters, or some entity that simply snaps away entire universes like Zeno. The truth is everything. It's the entire universe. It's every living being. It's consciousness as a whole. Truth is a reflection of the person talking to it, with a singular goal in mind, telling the person who it is a reflection of to not be prideful. Truth is less of a god and more of a lesson. A lesson that we were made by primal and basal elements to come together as a greater consciousness. And that even though consciousness breeds individuality, individuality doesn't mean you're better than those around you. Because every single individual can be their own reflection of God. Every single individual has their own gate of truth. And while that gate of truth can drive you to incredible heights and give you massive amounts of power, at the end of the day, you're still composed of the truth, the monad, the primordial elements of the universe. Just because you have earthly powers that you believe might put you above other earthly beings, you will always be of the earth, of the universe, of the entirety of existence. And there is no better representation of this ideology than when the truth has his final conversation with Father. See, the truth is telling Father that he's never tried to grow from any of his earthly experiences. That Father has this massive amount of knowledge and massive amount of power, and he already knows what he's done wrong with it, and he knows why he's being punished for it. Because the version of the truth talking to Father currently is a rationalization of the cosmos, an embodiment of his subconscious, telling him with the massive amount of power that he has that he should have lived a different life. But in this moment, Father doesn't even talk to this embodiment of his own subconscious. He directs his pleas towards God, towards the gate of truth, not realizing that he's already having a conversation with God. This lack of trying to figure out the circumstances based on hubris and believing that Father knows everything is directly what truth is talking to him about, which is why Father's door appears blank. The relationship between Father and truth is supposed to be the biggest lesson of Full Metal Alchemist. That it doesn't matter the amount of power or knowledge that you feel as though you've acquired in your lifetime, the lack of ability to grow is spiritual death. And whether you believe God is some ripped man standing up on a cloud with a thunderbolt, or the elemental particles that comprise every single one of us, the lack of the ability to acknowledge that any accruement of wealth or power on earth means nothing when compared to connecting to those around you. And this is the lesson that Ed learns, giving up the representation of all of the power and knowledge that he could possibly ever have in the form of his gate of truth in order to save his loved one, Alphonse. And that not only is the lesson of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, but the beauty of the character, the truth. And while this video may not get as many views as the top 10 strongest characters of all time in anime, I believe that taking a moment to understand the underlying meaning of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and what the character, the truth, represents is significantly more important. What do you guys think? Did you resonate with the ideologies of the truth as a whole? Tell me in the comments below. And while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Honestly, at the end of the day, Colonel Mustang was a war criminal. He could have gone a little bit longer without sight.